Good morning, trading world. It is July 12th, 2022, and this is my pre-market outlook and technical analysis for day trading the SPY. Today is a relatively quiet day calendar-wise, but tomorrow and the rest of the week won't be. Tape bombs, news drops, whatever you want to call them, there are plenty coming in the days ahead as earnings season gets underway, and probably the biggest news drop of all this week is going to be CPI on Wednesday. And just to kind of bring that into focus, again, Wednesday, we have the CPI here. Atlanta Fed speak, plenty of things that move the tape, and that's just the news events. When you bring in earnings, we got plenty of stuff that's starting to go on, especially financials. I think start later this week. I think on Thursday. At least the big financials, the ones that are going to really matter, start this week. I'm thinking on Thursday. But that's what we have to look forward to. So I'm kind of expecting a revisit to recent lows, but at the same time, the daily and the weekly chart are trying to get off the mat. And if that happens, we could end this first leg with a very pronounced V-shaped temporary bottom sometime here in July or August. Until then, be prepared for thin order flow that take you through air pockets like the free fall ride on Six Flags, with up cycles just as vicious. Give me a moment and let's take a look at the key levels to watch for today. All right, here we go with the key levels of the day. We're looking on the resistance side, 382 to 383. That's the Jack resistance. Queen resistance, 384 to 385. I expect rejection off of this level at some point in time today. This is where I'll be looking to re-up on shorts at some point today. And then we have the king resistance level, 386 to 390. On the support side, we have 381 to the 380 area. That's our Jack support. Queen support is the 379 to 378 area. Today I'm looking at this area to be to hold and maybe possibly be the low of the day, somewhere between here. And then we have the king support level, 377 all the way down to 373 if things get really out of hand. But somewhere along this 379 to 377, I expect possibly to be the low of the day. Possibly. But like I said, things can get out of hand and we can easily spiral down below that 379, and we could easily see the 370s at some point, the low 370s. So the main thesis for today is bearish, closing below the 384.23 with a projected target low of between 381 and 373. Again, I am focused on that 379 to 377 area. The alternate thesis is bullish, closing above the 384.23 with a projected target high between 384 and 386. If we get above that 386, that gives us room to run, and we could easily get back to 390 if we can close above that 386. With that being said, again, the current major channel that we're in, the bottom of it is 379 and the top is 397. That brings us to the scenarios of the day. All right, our first and most probable scenario is our rounded reversal day type structure. We could get a continued push higher toward the jack or queen resistance area, find midday chop around either the queen or king resistance before spending the same energy we use going up to come back down the second half of the day. Couple things. As always, we do have a vice versa warning on the rounded reversal day, and that vice versa is that we could continue to push lower first. And if we continue to push lower first, we end up with something like this. Coming down, pushing down towards our jack or queen support area, finding midday chop around either the queen or king support area, and then going up the second half of the day with the same amount of force that we came down with the first half. The other thing that I want to focus on is that if we do get the rounded reversal day, there are early signs that let us know that it's going to be a rounded reversal day. And usually that's going to start with your indicators or internals, whichever you watch, but they will all have these same commonalities. And that's, we're going to start high, and you're going to notice just the slightest bit of divergence. As price continues up, your indicators will have the slightest divergence down all the while. And this would probably continue all the way up until midday. And that divergence probably won't play out until that second half of the day, where you'll see we get the big drop and price will follow then in the second half of the day. So that's one way to spot the rounded reversal day early, is to pay attention to the divergence in your indicators or internals and watching how they will have the slightest bit of divergence the entire morning as price continues to rise. All right, that's it for the first scenario. Let's bring up the second. All right, here we are with the second scenario, which is our expansive range day structure. We could set a decision area high boundary around the queen resistance area, somewhere around here. We're going to chop our way up. And the key thing about any range day structure is that this blue line represents the open. We should get some closes above that open and cross back and forth between at least once. That symbolizes, or is the biggest characteristic of our range day structure. And then at some point, after we hit that high boundary, we're going to reverse and head toward the lows of overnight, if not push through them. But at least a test of the lows that we had overnight. And again, I did stress the key levels of watch is 379, 377 area, somewhere in there, to be a low for the day. That's our expansive range day structure. And let's bring up the last scenario. All right, our last scenario is our trend day down structure, meaning we open gap down and start a rise back toward the previous close, represented by the blue line. We find resistance on or before that previous close, then begin the downtrend for the morning. We find midday chop around either the possible queen or king support area, and then the second half of the day is usually a head fake to continue the previous trend, and then it'll be interesting to see how much of a rise we get at the close, if any. So those are the scenarios of the day. And again, I like to stress your most important job as a trader is understanding, knowing your risk. And the reason that is to protect the capital that you already have. I hope this helps, and as always, wishing you a positive trading day. Have a great one.